Hey windmill friends, welcome to TexasWindmills.com. Bet you already figured out what we're going to talk about today. Wooden blade, wooden tail, these cool old windmills. But I have some more information for you about these neat things that are really defining the windmills of the Old West. And also what my friend Jess up at Big Sky is doing with some modern technology, blending this with some greater safety features and low maintenance parts of a windmill. Join me today's wooden windmill video from TexasWindmills.com. Let's get started.
Today's video is dedicated to my old friend Uncle Paul. Paul taught me so much about wooden windmills. He was the world's leading authority on wooden windmills. And a shout out to all my friends at Shattuck, Oklahoma Windmill Museum. We meet there once a year. I've learned so much from you all. Great place to see wooden windmills is the Wind Power Center in Lubbock, Texas, and the Shattuck Windmill Museum and Park in Shattuck, Oklahoma. You can see some neat windmills there. Originally, all the windmills had wooden blades and wooden tails, and long before you had a house made out of wood, you probably lived in a canvas tent or a dugout. You had a wooden blade windmill because you couldn't survive in the West without the windmill that provided water for you or your cattle. They say the three things that tamed the American West was barbed wire to contain the cattle, the repeating rifle, and of course, the water pumping windmill. We all love the sight of a wooden blade windmill. A bunch of small wooden blades turning around, that big wooden tail with the manufacturer's name on it, pumping water away. It is really the icon of the American West. Let me tell you a little bit more about wooden windmills. Windmills came in all different sizes, but the really big windmills, the ones you see in the photographs, provided water for the steam locomotives as America expanded westward. As the railroad moved across the country, they needed more and more water. There's nothing more classic than this 1869 photograph of the windmill at the railroad depot in Laramie, Wyoming. And of course you can see these big windmills. There's me up on a railroad Eclipse, it's called, at Shattuck, Oklahoma. Not nearly as common as a water pumping windmill were the power mills. Now these windmills were used to grind grain, corn, for feeding the animals. They ran a simple little shaft that spun in a circle to provide belt power for equipment. You could still see a few of these power mills, but they're pretty rare. Now people think windmills were just in the rural areas, but here's a picture of 1887 in San Francisco. Windmills were everywhere. Urban areas, my favorite shot of San Diego. Filling the public swimming pools, spas and resorts, Catholic churches, hospitals. You had to have a windmill if you wanted water, and you had to advertise. So in the late 1800s, you had to come up with a way to advertise. You couldn't carry a big windmill, so they developed salesman samples. These small little windmills, you can see one here behind the big windmill ready for the parade. There it is again in the second photo. I love this, Garrett's Hardware, with a salesman sample right out in front for everyone to see. Windmill companies had really neat names for their windmills, and they had a lot of endorsements from other people. But it didn't matter how beautiful your advertisement was, how cool it was. The smart farmer was looking for a self-regulating windmill. The farmer wanted to know that if the wind got too strong, will the windmill turn itself out of the wind and stop? Now, you and I could go to the hardware store, get a couple of boards, and build a windmill, no problem. But the big thing with any windmill, especially these old wooden windmills, they have to turn out of the wind or over they're going to go. My buddy Jess wanted to build a wooden blade windmill, but didn't want to have to climb up the tower and oil it all the time like the old ones. So we started talking, and here's what he came up with. Just use our modern gearbox and all the neat things about it, along with wood blades and wood tails, and built his own wooden windmill. Now Jess is an engineer by training, and he didn't have a wind tunnel to test it, so what do? I said, Jess, we've done it before. Hook it on the trailer and down the road you go. So that's exactly what he did. be sure you subscribe so you can hear what happened when Jess got up to about 50 miles an hour with a 12-foot windmill on the trailer. And I'll explain more to you about wooden windmills and how these old girls protected themselves from high wind. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button. Thanks for watching, and check us out at texaswindmills.com.